So, this is a common sight, right? In the past 2 years. Okay, so my question really to begin is, what is a 21st century learning environment? How do we distinguish one environment from the next? Really only, if we go back from the beginning, let's say, I'll be generous and say like 1993 or the early 90s, the schoolhouse, the library, they were the center of the university. A building, a place was the center of teaching and learning in anyone's community. Today, that can't be said to be true, right? This is a 21st century learning environment. I don't know how old that child is. I think she's a little over 2. But there she is, totally engaged with an iPad. And really, from my perspective, we should stop using the term integrating technology because we're technology ed. Because it's an iPad educational technology. It wasn't designed as such. Yes, it is a piece of technology that can be used in education, but it's not specifically designed for education. And today, technology is so ubiquitous, I don't think we can separate the technology from learning or the environment. And so, what do you guys think? How would you describe or define in 1 or 2 words a 21st century learning environment? Give me some guidance here.
It's a learning environment that's changing every day based on what you're able to have in your
Okay, so a changing environment.
You may have something that is out there, but you may not have enough to do everything that you want to do with it, but you know that it's coming.
Okay, so give me just 1 or 2 key words. So changing.
Accessible.
Accessible.
Independent.
Independent.
Creative.
Creative is good.
Personalized.
Right, personalized.
Cooperative.
Cooperative.
Hands-on.
Hands-on, collaborative. And really, it is a place, isn't it? I mean, someone is always in a place when they're doing learning, whatever types of all kinds that you've described. And actually, I like to use this broad definition. This is a definition from the Partnership for 21st Century Skills. And, they're saying in today's interconnected and technology-driven world, a learning environment can be, it doesn't say local, but it could be local, virtual, online, remote. In other words, it doesn't have to be a place at all, or it is a place, but it could be any place at all. And learning environments are the structures, the tools, the communities that inspire students and educators to attain the knowledge and skills the 21st century demands of us all. And I think that is unique about the environments that kids are engaged in today. They are developing 21st century skills, so you can't separate the technology from the environment. The technology is a ubiquitous part of just about every environment, right? And so what is more ubiquitous in 21st century than mobile learning environments? Because really, we're talking about a technology that's less than 3 years old, right? Do you really comprehend that? When we're talking about iPads, this is an iPad mini, a Nexus 7. If you haven't seen the Nexus 7, it's a great tablet for $200. It's amazing what it can do, and there's rumors that Google's going to be coming out with the $99 tablet soon. Really great tablet, and that's the Kindle Fire, right? And, think about the fact that this is less than 3 years old, this technology. I mean, we react like this if it's everywhere and it's been around all the time, but it hasn't been. And we haven't really begun to see the implications of this technology. And, one of the things Steve Jobs said when he introduced it was, he said, welcome to the post-PC era. Okay? And that's what this chart exemplifies. Okay? The yellow is the smartphone. The red is the tablet. The green is portable PC. If you haven't seen the $200 Google Chromebook, check it out. $200, it's an incredible laptop. Okay, that's portable PCs. Notice what the blue is? The desktop PC. So the post-PC era is going to be these ubiquitous computers in our pockets, anywhere and everywhere of all kinds. And we'll still use desktop PCs for what? What will we use desktop PCs for? What do you think? No, we won't use it for word processing that much, because a good laptop, the Chromebook for $200 is a great word processor.
Word processing.
What's that?
Word processing.
No, something more heavy duty than word processing.
Like video editing?
Yeah, like video editing. Think of it this way. What I've heard, a really good analogy is the desktop PC will be the truck computer in the future. We need specialized trucks, right? We need a dump truck for this, we need a pickup for that, we need a four-wheel, a tractor trailer for something else. You might use a desktop PC if you're into high-end video editing.
large-scale data analysis.
Yeah, you're going to do simulation. You're into the sciences, and you're into data simulation and 3D modeling and 3D printing, and the high-end stuff will still require desktop computers, but we won't need that many of them. And for most of our purposes, we can do more and more and more with a tablet. And just think, 3-year-old, these tablets are only 3 years old. What are they going to be like 5 years from now? Okay, that's the mind blower. Okay, and so everybody's got one of these. And if you don't have one, like this is a recent Pew Internet American Life poll. This is about 8 months old. 34% of high school teens owned an iPhone of some sort. And if they didn't own an iPhone, they own an iPod Touch. You see that a lot, where the kids don't have a phone, but they have the touch. And out of the remaining who didn't have one, 40% were planning to buy one in the next 6 months.
Are you brand specific there?
This is this is specifically around the iPhone.
Okay.
Right, just because it's so popular. That was Pew Internet.
Phones.
Yeah, and Android phones are now becoming, so basically everyone's going to have one of these. And, being in Mexico recently, I pulled out my iPhone and I'm walking across the grounds of this school, and this little 8-year-old Mexican kid who can't speak English, who's like at the lowest level of Mexican society, okay? He's either an orphan or abandoned or a strange kid, sees me with my iPhone in my hand and he says, iPhone, Twitter, Facebook. Right? 3 words in English that he knew. iPhone, Twitter, and Facebook. Okay? An 8-year-old in Mexican society. All right? So this technology is permeating the world. It's not just the U.S. where this is happening. And so what does this all mean? What can we do with mobile environments? Well, the apps for mobile learning are, again, astounding. How many apps do you think are in the Apple iStore, the App Store for education? Anybody have any idea? Yeah, when I did the research on this, the number I could find in print was 20,000, but the last time I did this presentation, I had an Apple guy in the audience, and I knew him. So I asked him, I said, Dan, what's the latest number on that? And he said 90,000. Okay, he said 90,000 was the last number they had. In addition to, apps, so we're talking about app specific, right? Education apps. That doesn't, so, apps like, is Twitter an education app? Technically not. No. Is Facebook an education app? No. But some people are using Twitter or Pinterest. Is that an education app? No, but people are using it for it. So this is specifically to the category of education apps. There are a lot more apps that people are using for, quote, education. So that's why I say this term of education technology doesn't really fit anymore. The technology is ubiquitous, and we can use all kinds of technology for teaching and learning. But in addition to the apps, have you seen iTunes U? So iTunes U is a part of the iTunes environment where schools and universities are posting content for download. So lectures and videos and quizzes and materials. 1 billion iTunes U downloads. And then altogether in the App Store, and this is about a 4-month-old figure, there were 40 billion downloads. So just get your head around this for a minute. In 3 years, these are the numbers that we're seeing, okay? And what's happening is 2 things as a result of this, okay? And I'm going to show you 2 separate videos here that kind of exemplify what I'm talking about.
Hey Nolan, you want to play the iPhone?
Anybody have seen this before?
Here you go.
Okay, realize this. The kid cannot talk. Okay? Just recognize that by what he said.
Oh my God. No.
He is not even 2 years old.
This is my son, Mike. He's 19 months.
Yes. Okay? Now look, wait. He stops it. He goes back to the beginning.
Is that your iPhone?
You hear it on the phone.
It was.
Okay, so
Yeah, it's Daddy's.
okay, so what we're seeing here is what Sesame Street Workshop is calling the pass-back effect. Okay, what's the pass-back effect? You may have experienced it in your car. What is it?
Mommy, can I have your iPhone?
Yes,
Can I
exactly
have your
right,
iPhone?
Christine, yes. You are driving and the baby starts, or the child starts fussing, so what do? You hand the child a supercomputer. Okay, just think of it that way. Okay, don't think of it as your phone. Think of it, you're handing the child a supercomputer. Because by our standards, and what we've been using computers for, it could be 10, 20, for some of us, 30 years, these are the supercomputers, okay, that we dreamed about already in our pockets. And we're giving them to 18-month-old kids who are learning how to use them and who haven't come to school yet. This generation that we're talking about here has not yet hit the classroom. And what are the implications of this group when they do? Especially for kindergarten and first grade teachers. And now the interesting thing about this kid, there's another video, you can Google it on YouTube, Noah with an iPad. He's 3 years old. And now he's using his iPad for addition and subtraction. He's doing a math program on an iPad. Okay? We don't even, think about the implications of this, because they're very profound that we haven't even begun to think about it or to realize what these implications are. And Sesame Street got the, I think it's called the Jane Kuhn Center of Research. If you just Google, the title of the paper is Learning, Is There an App for That? It's a research paper. It'll take you to the center on Sesame Street's website. There's a lot of good research, especially for you early educators. There's a lot of good material in there. And there's a good analysis of some apps for 3-year-olds, literacy apps. There's some really good analysis in that. It's a really good research report. I highly recommend it. Yeah, just Google Learning, is there an app for that? And it'll bring you to the report. And I think it's the Joan Kuhn Center. I didn't quite get the last name right, but it's something like that. It's at Sesame Street. It's a research arm of Sesame Street. So that's the 18-month-old, okay? This is what I think we're going to see when that kid gets to be 12. Anybody see this one? Thomas Juarez?
My name is Thomas Juarez. I've always had a fascination for computers and technology, and I made a few apps for the iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. I'd like to share a couple with you today.
I hate to say this.
My first app was a unique fortune teller called Earth Fortune that would display different colors of Earth depending on what your fortune was. My favorite and most successful app is Bustin' Jeeber, which is a Justin Bieber whack-a-mole.
Okay, Justin Bieber.
I created it because a lot of people at school disliked Justin Bieber a little bit, so I decided to make the app. So I went to work programming it, and I released it just before the holidays in 2010. A lot of people ask me, how did I make these? A lot of times it's because the person who asked the question wants to make an app also. A lot of kids these days like to play games, but now they want to make them. And it's difficult because not many kids know where to go to find out how to make a program. I mean, for soccer, you could go to a soccer team. For violin, you could get lessons for a violin. But what if you want to make an app? And the kids' parents might have done some of these things when they were young, but not many parents have written apps.
Have you written an app yet?
Where do you go to find out how to make an app?
Okay.
Well, this is how I approached it. This is what I did. First of all, I've been programming in multiple other programming languages to get the basics down, such as...
So that's about 5 minutes long. I'll let you go and see that yourself, but just Google Thomas Juarez, and he's on TED. That's a TED Talk, a TEDx talk. And he talks about his teachers. He talks about his experience doing the app development. And, so here we have a 12-year-old app developer for $90, got his first app submitted to the Apple App Store, the App Developer Store. And this is what I think is going to be, right now he's the exception. He's not commonplace to find kids like this. But based on this kid, you can be sure this is going to become more commonplace. So if you haven't thought about developing an app team or an app development program or after school or in school or something, do it soon. Because kids are already clamoring for it. And he talks about how his teachers can't help them, and as a matter of fact, they're afraid of the technology, and it's quite enlightening. So that's Thomas Juarez, and that's the little boy on the iPhone baby, as it's called. And so these are the numbers, right? And we're not even talking yet about the fact that you could get, 10,000 books for free on a mobile device. Did anybody realize that? Like you library media specialists. I did a workshop with a bunch of library media specialists. I said, how many of you could give 10,000 books to a kid for $200? Anybody take me on that? I'm talking about real books, right? Hardcover books. Nobody could do that. But on a mobile device, you can. 10,000 books, copyright free, all the classics, every major work of literature that man has ever written or humans have written, right? All for free, all open copyright for free on a device. So this is like, this is just profound. And then to top it all off, what do you do with it? What else can you do with a mobile device? We haven't mentioned it yet. Oh, we haven't even talked about that. We're not going to get into that. It's just, we could spend the whole time on mobile devices because you have communication, collaboration device, IMing, instant messaging, right? Skyping, you name it, you can do any kind of communication. But you could also access one of 50 billion, well, hold on, click off that. 50 billion web pages, right? That's what's also